buddy.
Hey, Kelly, what's up?
How you doing?
I am doing well. We are having another evening with, and boy, do we.
I'll say.
I am excited, as many others are. A very good friend of yours and mine. Someone that, I tell you what, very few people are a walking, just just human being, just of knowledge of so many different things in our field. And one thing I will tell you that for sure that is loved and respected. And say what you want, you cannot deny the man. The man has been around for a minute, as they say, in this field. To get to know that when you had talked to him about getting to be on the show, I was like, oh, yes. Hello. I mean, yeah. And oh man, I'm excited to get to spend an evening with and get to have people to chime in and really, just you know, go
Well,
at this man with questions.
he knows so much about so much.
And that's a good
I've yet
point.
to have a conversation with him.
Yeah,
that
and
I leave there unenriched.
listen, I yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's that. I've had those moments. And trust me, he is one of those that when you go to in those moments and say, I kind of got this going on. He says, well, let me tell you how it is, Keith. And here's the thing. And you just sit there and you just close your mouth, you open your ears, and you just soak that in. I tell you, and I lean towards this man a lot of times too, as kind of to the universe, as saying, has there been anything maybe that you happen to have heard or something that that I need to know about? And this man, he's a straight shooter now. He's going to tell you what I'm going to tell you might kind of hurt you, but it's the truth. And he's like, nope, all's good with me, Keith. So that's why I'm telling you. So for the folks that are out there that are beginning to join us, that are about to have the moment, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to the program the one, the only Mr. Frank Cinelli.
Oh my God. So I'd like to start out by saying that this red complexion is not a reflection of these red walls. This is me blushing from that intro. I mean, you guys are amazing.
Well, he's the ultimate hype man. Like, Keith is just the ultimate hype man. Mm-hmm.
Here's a guy who's been in the field. So many people, when you go places, people all around and they're, hey Frank, hey, what's up, Frank? And I kind of sit back and let those get. Then I'll kind of come up and I'll have my little moment with him. And I was blessed to get to first of all meet Frank at Pennhurst.
Yeah.
And man, what an investigation we had! So many people were there. Johnny Zaffis, Grant Wilson. I think that was Bob and Gina's event.
Yeah.
Even though it was for the time of year was unbelievably hot. It was like
the
a
hottest day of
record.
my life. That was the hottest day of my life.
It was a record. Yeah. They didn't even expect it. But I'm going to tell you what, that night, the investigation made it all right in the universe. Because I cried, I laughed, I broke that. We had stuff at that event that was just the most amazing investigation we had in one of the buildings with a spirit in my career that I've had with 8 other people that were there. You got to witness it. And we sang this spirit happy birthday. She told us it was her birthday. And we looked at each other and we sang. And afterwards we were all like, I'm sorry, it's my allergies. It was so special. And we'd ask her a question, she'd say something. Ask her a question, she'd say something. It was special. I tell you.
It's one of those places that never disappoints. You can be there in the middle of the day and stuff is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. To get to be there with Johnny, it was so fun because it was Johnny's little area. And Johnny, hey, kid, let me tell you something, kid. So we're there, and
He
it was
never
his.
calls me king.
Well, he does with me.
I like when Johnny's around because I'm not the old guy.
And it's fun because it was while we were there, he was supposed to have his thing. He was supposed to be the one. He walks in, and I got this spread, set up a grid. We're already ready. He goes, wah, wah. He goes, Keith, you got this. He goes outside. He goes, no, Keith, you got this. He goes, I'm outside. And what an honor to have Johnny say, hey, you're good with this. You got it. And I told him about it. He says, oh, I knew you'd do well, Keith. He says, I saw what you had, and you were there. And I love that guy. And even with Grant Wilson as well, him and Rihanna were there. And just all over every little place we would go, it was like they came up to us like, hey, talk to me, hey. And just a special time. But just memories like that when you have places that you go and you remember that with somebody. Frank was there. I never forget those things. It's like they're a part of me. It's like an education moment, and I take that back with me. And I take that. That's why and he knows our reputations are always a phone call away, and I hold my reputation so near and dear because I don't ever want to have Frank hear something about me and say, the Keith guy. And that's one thing about Frank. He'll say, no, if there's something, we're going to have a moment. But he's like, nope, haven't heard anything bad. So I'm honored with that. So ladies and gentlemen, this man, if you have not got a chance to come and see him at a place where you're out there with him, just the rest of the show, I'm just going to sit here and just get to listen.
I highly doubt that.
I'm excited.
So I hope you know, if I ever heard anybody talking smack on you, first of all, I'd stop them in their tracks. But second of all, I would call you and let you know. Yeah. Because that shit don't fly with me. Right? You've always treated me well. You're a great guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm impressed to find somebody who had something bad to say.
Aww.
Yeah. I appreciate it very much.
Oh my God, I love
Chucky. How can you not? She's just a little. You just want to just.
Exactly.
Well,
I know.
Speaking of experiences that you share with Frank, so every time I go someplace with Frank and Bill and a few other of us Pennsylvanians who go different places together, they're like my nearest and closest and dearest pair family. And so when we go places together, I mean, the most recent time we went someplace together, I don't know how many times between the two of us, Frank, I thought this afterward, but you and I both said, did you see that? Did you see that?
Right.
Did you see that? Like each of us must have repeated that sentence, 8 to 10 times easily. But sharing those experiences, like I've learned so much from you and with you. And I am definitely in awe of all the things that you know how to do. But start at the top. Tell us about your day job for those that don't know.
All right. So my day job is I'm a bioenergetic practitioner. So what does that mean? I do a very specific testing. It's meridian type testing. One of the big tests we do is a stealth organism test. Stealth organisms are any virus, bacteria, or parasite that goes intracellular. Okay, so it's not in your blood, it's actually in the tissue itself. And I always use Lyme disease as a great example of this. Mm-hmm. Even if you know you have Lyme, you'll get blood test after blood test coming back saying you don't. Okay, the way I test is different. I use a molecular frequency. So everything has a specific frequency, and as I send that through your body, if it's in you anywhere, it's going to resonate. And I know it's there. And if it's not in you, okay, the body doesn't like this. The body goes into attack mode. So the frequency comes out different than how it goes in. A couple other tests we do, one that is entirely specific to our office because I created it. It's an organ reserve, okay? And this gives us % of function on specific organs and glands, okay? I use meridian system of the body for testing. Meridians are just the energetic pathways. Every organ, gland, function has a section, right? Same meridian system they use in acupuncture and other modalities. So we change the meridian frequency. It'll take the microcurrent through an organ. I can measure resistance and capacitance and calculate % of function. Because a healthy cell is going to have 65% of total body fluid, right? So as you get older into a disease state, that cell shrinks and it's less conductive. So I created the scale. It's like, okay, so Those are like the two big things we do. We have part of the practice is a vitamin store. Part of the practice is a alternative. We have a doctor that I work with. We do chelation therapies, weight management, all kinds of wild stuff. So that's my day job.
I loved over COVID time, you put out different videos and you advised people about different supplements or vitamins or tips that you would suggest. And I thought that was so useful because not only do people want to see you and that impacted your practice at that time, but you could also give everyone else that kind of holistic side of things and give them some sort of hope coming out of it before there was actually a pharmaceutical type hope, you know.
Yeah, no, and it's with anything, it's all about your immune system and keeping your immune system strong. The stronger your immune system, the less likely you are to get sick. It's not impossible. You're still going to get sick sometimes.
Sure.
But you're stacking the deck in your favor, which that ain't so bad.
Right.
So,
that's true. And I heard that you are booked now. So anybody who wants to find out more about you, you do have that online, like your Facebook page or website, correct? For
there is a Vitamin Pharmacy Facebook page. Again, it's alternative medicine, so I don't really put a whole lot out there online. Sure. You call for the information, and you know, the lovely ladies at my front desk will be happy to explain everything.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm sure you'll have some people reaching out to you too. And you know, personally, I think about, like I said, all the things that you and I have done together. So how did you transfer from your day job there into kind of like your interest in the paranormal? How did you get started that way?
So my interest in the paranormal goes way, way back. When I was just a wee little nipper, I had an imaginary friend. All right, no big deal. Everybody's got an imaginary friend. Well, my imaginary friend was gray, but he had blonde hair.
Okay.
His name was McTavish. Now, you got to understand, I grew up in an entirely Italian community. I don't even know where to come up with a name of McTavish.
Sure.
McTavish would do things. He'd move things, and we'd like talk and play games and stuff. And that was kind of freaky. I just thought that was normal. I didn't know. You know, and of course, my parents thought, "Oh, what a cute kid! He's an imaginary friend." Blah 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 blah. So after I kind of realized what happened, and after he went away, everything I could get my hands on about paranormal, and not just ghosts, like everything paranormal, UFOs and cryptids and you name it, I would read it. And then In Search Of came out underneath. Remember that? No? Anybody? I'm old.
Now we can hear you. You froze a second. So you said In Search Of came out, and that's what we caught.
Yes.
Yeah, In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. Okay, and this is like the highlight of my week.
I think it came out on Sundays, Frank. It came on Sundays.
Saturday or Sunday? I don't really remember.
Saturday or Sunday. Yeah. Yes, I was there. This is me.
Yeah. But that was like the greatest thing ever. Yes, this is like all the stuff I've been reading about. Now I can visually see a reenactment or, hear other people's stories. Right. When I went to college, my first roommate in my fraternity house was also into paranormal. He's actually the guy who taught me to do EVPs. So we had an old reel-to-reel recorder, and our house was across the street from the cemetery. So on a Thursday night, when everybody was doing pub night, he and I would go sit in the cemetery and do EVP.
That's where all the cool kids hang out. That's where all the cool kids hang out.
It was a blast. It's been a journey ever since. Huh?
We've got some really cool people that's already popping in. That's already that some of you may know. This guy, this one guy, this Flip SEAR Flip, Cyril's paging Dr. Spectre.
What's up, Flip?
And we got we got our very near and dear folks. Someone me and Kelly love dearly, Mr. Bob Burnell.
Hi, Bob.
What a great guy. I tell you what a guy. Bob is one of the most brilliant people out there. That I have an opportunity to speak with often too. Our boy Nick Cates is in the house. Thomas Cardos is there. Russ Bailey, no kin to me. My dear friend Ricky Hillard's in the house. Ricky's James Kent Spence. What's up, James? Tracy. Oh, hey, Tracy's in the house. There she is. She says the doctor is in the house. Apparently she's yes. You guys folks already out there that who is this guy? He says, tune in tonight, you're gonna get to meet him. John McGinnis is there. Hey guys. So many people reached out and said he's going to be on the show. Yes, he's going to be on the show. They're like, oh, cool. So it's like that, ladies and gentlemen. For one show, one night, one only. The man. So one of the things that's very cool is you mentioned a little bit about when we say cryptids. Have you had an opportunity as of late to see the stuff on the Skinwalker Ranch, the show?
I have not been watching, and I keep meaning to sit and binge watch it. Spring is here, dude, and I am like, you own property, you own a house. There's not much time left in the day for you.
They are doing some really amazing things. They are getting to be an approach to it of scientific magnitude, bringing in some specialists to get in there that are really looking at different events that have happened, and then how that could be, and that's a good thing because we know that there's a lot of that ties with that. But that being said, and with some of the other cryptids, as of recently, there's another show out, which is another Bigfoot show that's out there, and on this show, they're starting to now tie the fact with witnesses that are saying that these creatures have an occasion to basically just disappear. They see them, they're there, and then they're looking, and then they're just they're standing there and they're gone. Now, the Indians that they've actually interviewed, the Native Americans that they've interviewed, have said that they believe that they have that ability. On this show, they're showing that around these Bigfoots are these anomalies, these like almost orbs that are kind of like around their space. Mm-hmm. So I'm almost starting to tie some of the things together. Could it, in fact, be that these Bigfoots have the ability to go through these possible portals into our world? They're here and then they're gone. Does that contribute to the fact that we don't see them all the time? Yeah. One of the Indians actually even mentioned the fact that he saw it, and he was kind of right on top of this one creature. The creature looked down to the ground, kind of took his hands and held it over his face, and then he was gone. So maybe that's how he is able to go inside himself, and then he's gone. What's some of your thoughts on maybe what you some of your research or your readings about some of that thoughts, Frank?
Okay. Yes. Tell us, Frank. I'm so excited.
This is interesting.
So there's a couple of different theories, and one is that yes, that they are interdimensional beings, and they just kind of shift from this dimension to the next dimension to the next dimension. The other thought is they are associated with UFOs, who could also be interdimensional or interplanetary. Because if you notice, every Bigfoot hotspot is a UFO hotspot as well, or there's one very close by. Now, that being said, I don't know if it's a shimmer or a shift that sends them back to the ship or into a different dimension, but I'm going to tell you what I have personally seen. Okay, there was one early morning. My girlfriend Isabella was in Arizona, and I'm talking on the phone, and I'm driving. Because, I just can't sit and do one thing. I got to be either driving or cooking or do it. So we're talking on the phone, and I hear this big thump on my truck. Okay? And Bella heard it on the phone, and she's like, "What was that?" I said, "I don't know. Probably snow fell from a tree or some shit like that." So just as I round the corner, it's early morning, so I leave the shade into the sunlight. Across my windshield is this massive handprint.
Wow.
Right? I have the picture somewhere. I got to find this thing. It's just wild. I hold my hand up to it. You know, my meat hooks are not that small, but they looked tiny compared to that. Other things we've seen in this general area where I was. Okay, now this area where I was is a place called Columnsile. Columnsile sits on a ley line, so there's a lot of activity, a lot of I lost the word. Fairies, gnomes. Kelly, what's the word? Help me out.
Like elemental based energy.
Elementals, yes. A lot of elemental activity going on there. But this is where I've seen where I had that happen. I've also seen in the trees there these shimmers. Okay. And you ever watch the movie Predator?
Yes, that's it. That's what I was going to say. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's that shimmer, and you literally can watch it jump from tree to tree to tree. Okay. I have seen that in my backyard. My backyard gets creepy as I'll get out sometimes. There's some wild stuff going on here. But we went to Happy Valley, New York, and we were doing a Bigfoot UFO hunt. Right? This was with ghost detectives. We weren't there 10 minutes when rocks started dropping into the water beside us. Like big rocks, you know, not little. And you literally, first I thought, all right, it might be a beaver slap, you don't know. Till you actually see the rock hit the water and the splash come up. Around that same area, there were many of us who saw that same thing, that shimmer in the trees. We were getting knock responses. And nobody whoop back.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So
that's
that kind of leads credence to the fact that they are more interdimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
I agree. There's got to be more to it than the simplicity of, they run across the road and stop and, hey, I'm here. Then they run off and then they do their thing. There's got to be a reason as well with as many people that are building homes out in the woods. They're back, they're here, they're hunters. And you only get these occasional little snippets of where they see them.
Right.
Where there's got to be more to that. But the Native Americans will tell you that for them, it's almost as if they are, in fact, the protectors of the forest. They keep that balance. And they know of them. When you look at the caves way back in the day, many, many, many years ago, and you see the big, the creature that is drawn like a type of a Bigfoot, and they say that's it. This is what they were. And they show the little man beside it. And I'm fascinated by that show because I do have two friends that did, in fact, in East Texas, months apart, separately have events, Bigfoot events. And these are guys that are, like yourself, Frank, reputable stand-up guys that are not just out there shaking and jiving something. In fact, they were actually even non-believers until they contacted me with a look of total shock when I finally got to speak with them. And they said that they were almost to tears. It changed them. There's something about after that event that they're not the same. It's like it just went through them and just made them says, oh my God, there's something more out there. Right. There's not just, and now that when they go in the woods, it totally changed them. They're like, oh, no, no, I don't go in. They said they don't go alone. They're very cautious on where they're at. And so, maybe that's something that those creatures are letting they're in control of that forest. We're not.
Right. Exactly.
So,
yeah, I have a good friend of mine kind of had that come to Jesus moment in the woods as a young man in his late 20s. And it completely changed it. Now he's retired now. He moved to Tennessee, but yeah, you could still see that look of trauma in his eyes when he would recant the story.
Yeah, that's another thing that does it. Our friend Brandon Johnson's in the house. I think everybody knows Brandon. So many great things they're doing with their group out there, and our friend. You know, and then you have some of these other creatures that tend to get brought up. That other, oh my God, that the dog man is another one that gets brought up. That. People are saying, no, it's not a Bigfoot. No, it's something different. And then this other stick figure creature that's this. They say this thing is like a death. Like when you see this thing, you've seen it, and they're like, oh no, that's not good. They're saying that it's like ominous to prelude to your death.
One of the theories with that, right? We were talking about Slender Man, right?
Right.
Is that this is a almost like a thought form via the internet. We have this collective consciousness that has created this being,
right?
You know, it's just pure evil.
Wow. And see that there again, it's sometimes, you know, what's our demon? Well, sometimes we can be our own demons just through that those energies that seem to collect in the universe, and then they're out there, and
that power of intention too. We talked about that somehow comes up almost every conversation. You know, it's
what comes up.
It's just like the power of intention. I said that comes up every conversation with Keith and I somehow. You know, it's all about the intention that you're putting out into the universe, the energy you're putting out into the universe, and I really think that can feed those elemental based energies too. So
sure.
I was going to ask you, what's the most unique cryptid experience that you've had? I mean, now the Bigfoot one is profound, but like what's a unique experience you've had?
Yeah, you know,
is it something in your own backyard?
What's that?
I said, is it something in your own backyard?
Well, I'll tell you what. There's one night. Now I have a tiki bar in my backyard, and there were 3 of us sitting out at the tiki bar. One fellow investigator, one non-investigator, and me. And all of a sudden, we start seeing these glowing eyes in the woods. And, you know, they weren't just static. They weren't just, and they moved from place to place. But they were based on elevation. This thing had to be 8 to 12 feet tall. Yeah. At best guess. You know, I'm a doctor, not a geologist. Yeah.
How long did they last?
Huh?
How long did they last?
For like an hour. It was
really?
Like, it was stalking us. And we sat out there because, you know, we're morons. We, you know, get the camera ready to roll in case it eats you.
Yeah. Everybody have their phones on? Everybody live right now? That's good. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Actually, just a couple of weeks ago. Now, you know, the woods are thick and they're grown. There's thorns and whatnot. You cannot run through there at night. You could barely walk through there in the day. I had gone to bed, and this was a story my good friend Aaron Sagers. So Sagers was out there with another friend of ours, and he heard something running. Now, he's been in the wilderness enough. He knows the difference between a deer running or squirrels playing or maybe a bear. I don't know. But the way he described it didn't sound like a bear. It sounded like there were human footsteps running through the woods. So he and our other friend immediately grabbed all their stuff and came in the house.
Yeah, outside and then inside.
Yeah,
understandable. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, the backyard has its own little energy, and every now and again we'll leave little shots of whiskey out for the elementals, and just as a sign of respect and putting good energy out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what about when you went to New York? You said for the Bigfoot and UFO. Have you ever had any extraterrestrial experiences?
Okay. So as in my misguided youth, okay, we would go around and throw corn at aluminum siding. So those of you who don't know what this is, there's the feed corn, which is very, very hard. Right? Kelly, obviously you know.
Kelly,
the only reason. Wait, hold on. Disclaimer at the bottom.
Kelly,
guilty. The only reason I know is because I live in central Pennsylvania, and this is like a commonplace thing. So that's the only. I've never done it, but I know what you're talking about.
Final answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll go with that for now. But
Stick
you
to
would like throw corn at somebody's aluminum siding, makes this hellacious racket. They come to the door and you run like hell. We're small towns. There's nothing to do. You throw corn and you cow tip. So this one night, we're done with that, and we're sitting on the hillside by my parents' house, and all of a sudden we see these 3 lights in the horizon. Okay, 3. Wait, that's one too many. 3, and they come together and they come apart, and they come together and they come apart. Then they came together and they went straight up, out of sight. Shortly after, what we can only assume were fighter jets in formation fly directly over top of us. That was like so freaky.
Wow.
There was, that was, and everybody was there still remembers this, but there was another incident where we're walking along looking for trouble to get into, and everything became very still. And over top of us, low flying, is this massive craft. I mean, you can look up and see like designs and crazy stuff like this. And there were probably 10 of us, and no one remembers this except me.
Wow.
We lost time and the whole deal.
You were the chosen one.
What's that?
You were the chosen one in that instance.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started about the implant. But
that's for another show.
Oh.
It's very cool. We got some of the guests with some very cool comments. Robin has something in there. Even Tracy said earlier, I see. She mentioned something. Is it possible these Bigfoot sightings could be shapeshifters? That's a good little something. I think we've kind of touched on that a little bit. Yeah, Frank?
Yeah, it is quite possible. So shapeshifters, usually they're around some native sacred site, and they're there to protect. And they will take any form in which they can to protect this area. So, and again, you guys were just talking about intention. If you go to the site with good intention, you have nothing to worry about. If you go there with this, cocky ass attitude, making fun, cracking wise, the shapeshifter. That was hard to say. See, I had dental work.
Frank.
The shapeshifter. It's coming.
When
they come for you, it ain't pretty.
I would imagine. I see Robin here's got a very cool thing along this line as well. Robin, Kale, hey Robin, how you do, sweetie? I live in Ohio, not far from the Salt Fork, and there is an active family group of Bigfoots there. You hear about that? It's possibly an adult type strong male, and then you get the mother with the baby. That's kind of something that's kind of been seen out there. Bob brings up a good point. Bob here, our friend Burnell, he says the fighters were a sign that sighting was legit. What's your thoughts on that? We're starting to see some the stuff on the news, little bits of these snippets of the government's kind of, yeah, that's kind of that thing that it's very hard to totally deny when you've got thousands of people that are saying, look, what is this? And then now it's starting, getting to be to where it's like, it's, yeah. So that's interesting as well. That maybe that those fighters are there just to maybe just in around that space. But they said that when they have these UFOs, that these things have towered over, in other words, so huge that they just totally make in size of a fraction of what some of these bigger motherships. So I mean, you know, that there was a 747 years ago that I believe it was flying over some Alaska airspace, and they had an event to where it was over them, and you have the cockpit recordings, and they're calling to the tower. And what was interesting is they looked at it, they were actually identifying that as well and saying, "Are you seeing this?" And they're saying, "Yes, we are." And so darn interesting, so interesting.
And you and a few of our other friends went to look for the New Jersey Devil too.
Oh, that was fun.
Were there any highlights of that trip you'd like to share?
So,
New Jersey Devil.
Yeah, we were, trying to dig up leads. Nobody.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Jersey Devil, 13th son of Mrs. Leeds, and of course, Mrs. Leeds, 13. This baby is cursed, and she cursed the baby. And the baby instantly transformed into this demonic-looking creature, bat wings and lion's tail, and whatever description that you choose to go by. And it's been terrorizing New Jersey ever since. Now, there was one about 100 years ago, and it was the Summer of Terror, where Jersey Devil sightings were seen all the way up towards Philadelphia, in my area here, and so on and so forth. So that was, it's hard. Okay, when you're hunting cryptids like Bigfoot, okay, yeah, there's call and response, there's the this kind of things, and you look for physical evidence. Jersey Devil is hard because basically what you're doing is walking through the woods trying to be bait.
Ugh.
Yeah. That was
So
interesting.
It's safe to say that you did not see any on your.
We had zero evidence of Jersey Devil. I did find out that several of my friends snore like chainsaws. Yeah, true story. So the guy I'm sharing my tent with, right? We'll call him Chuck.
Good old Chuck.
Chuck snores like a chainsaw. So the guy in the tent next to us, we'll call him Bob.
This Bob guy.
This Bob guy. The guy with the thing. He does the thing.
Guy.
So Bob snores like a chainsaw. Night 2, my air mattress deflates.
No.
I'm uncomfortable.
No.
And it was not in unison. It was Chuck, then Bob. Chuck, then Bob.
Oh.
Finally, I got up and I spent the rest of the night in my truck. I could barely walk the next day because.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
I mean, all in all, it was a great trip, and but, you gotta poke fun at the not so fun stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, sure. Yeah. Now you write as well. You're an author as well. So what is the main topic, or do you have an array of topics on what you write about?
I started out writing about how to stay healthy while investigating paranormal. Okay, and some of the talks that I still do are still about that. Mm-hmm. Then it shifted to conspiracy. So I used to write for Taps Para magazine. And the editor calls me up one day. He says, "Can you write conspiracy?" I'm like, "Oh boy, can I? You don't even have to fact check those." I started writing about conspiracies and kind of like cool places like Coral Castle or Mel's Hole, that kind of thing. And that was really cool. And I'm sad to say I've been very turned off by conspiracies over this past year. Mm-hmm. Just the massive amount. I'm sure you guys have heard all the shit going on, and if you believe any of it, I'm sorry, but I'm just, next person that mentions adrenochrome to me, I might just grab them and shake them. Oh, so adrenochrome, right? Are you guys familiar with this? Right, the whole they're killing these young children, they're torturing them because their bodies produce adrenochrome and that keeps them young, and they harvest this and that's that and the other. You can synthetically make adrenochrome cheaper than what it would be cost you to kidnap, torture, house, feed, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to anyone who wonders, it's cheaper to make it. Like that's the moral of your story as far as that conspiracy theory goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's more to it than that, Kelly.
There's always more.
Earlier, I read from blushing. Now I'm turning red from like purr. Me when I'm angry.
Well, I wanted to ask too, because I'm sure Keith wants to know. So when you are out investigating, and I know it depends on what you're investigating and where you're at, but do you have a favorite piece besides your sensitivities, your own self? Do you have a favorite piece of technology or equipment that you use?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's an app I love. It's called EchoVox. EchoVox to me has never disappointed. Like the actual equipment, it's hard to pinpoint. I mean, you need multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
I love the static domes from Vortex Ghost Gear. The H2O also from Vortex Ghost Gear. I'm shamelessly plugging Bob.
This has been a paidless promotion.
That's okay. We love him.
No, but the stuff is really great. The static domes, they have worked everywhere I've brought them. Not so much that last place we went, Kelly. That was like the least active they ever were. Mm-hmm. But everywhere else, I've gotten stuff with that. The H2O, the haunted trigger object, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one. So if you're in a bar, right, you can hook this to a little metal tray, put a bottle on there. And if something tries to grab this bottle, boom, it sets it off. So it creates this proximity sensor. Mm-hmm. So that's good. So you can change it and adapt it for whatever location you're in. We did that in one of the battlefields in Gettysburg. And we had one hooked up to a Confederate belt buckle and one hooked up to a Union belt buckle. And, we asked, well, who's here? And boom, the Union thing would light up. So wow. That was at the David Stewart farm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Haven't got to go there yet, but they've asked me about going there. And I do. I know. I'm going to grab Kelly one time and see when we get out there at a really, I know our peeps there, Pam and Steve, have some really cool locations there as well.
Oh, yeah. Their place is kind of wild. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what great people! I mean, they've got some stuff there that they've asked us about, and we're just going to have to connect those times and get to go there. And that's when we're going to have an opportunity, maybe to do some live, on location type events. That would really be very cool there as well.
And let me know when you're coming to Pennsylvania.
Okay,
right? I'm just a couple hours away. When you're done in Gettysburg, shoot on up, man. I'll throw a brisket on the smoker and
Kelly. Yee-hee! Maybe we'll have What great people over there. So many people in that whole corridor there that are just family, friends, colleagues of so much love. And that's the stuff you don't always see just anywhere. But to get to share that their locations, some of their history of some of the things they've had. And of course, Tracy's, that's what's cool about Gettysburg.
Right.
And she's got a question there too, Miss Tracy. Have you experienced the different vortex mountains in Sedona, Arizona? And
I have, and it is amazing. There's a church built into one of the rocks. One of the most profound places I've ever been. I don't profess to be psychic or whatever. I was transported. I mean, I was there. I knew I was still physically in the room, but I could see just this whole other scene playing out in my head. The peacefulness of it And that's the main thing is the peacefulness of it. And there are several spots around Sedona like that, but yeah, no, I can't wait to get back to Sedona. There are a few other places I want to explore like that. So yes, absolutely thumbs up. If you get a chance, you do it. You go, you soak it up, find somebody local who knows where these spots are, and find them.
Yeah, Tracy mentions about that. She says, yes, my godparents lived at the base of the church. And she says, Kelly saw them after death. I guess, Kelly, had you had oh, wow. That's just so special when you have someone that's had that as well and get to experience that. And that's what I love about Kelly is her talent and what she brings into this field. And I'll tell you that, and getting to go on an investigation with what I bring with it when I have like my equipment. And then Kelly says, you know what? I'm feeling something right back over in here. Like there's just something about it. And then I bring maybe, and I have some equipment. I say, you know, my friend Kelly is saying she's feeling something. I have a piece of equipment there. Can you interact with that? And then when that happens, that's magic. That's like, whoa. That's when it makes you go, yes. We've had that on some stuff. I know Bob's been, we've got to go to some places, and it's so exciting when you get that moment to where that spirit, I think they really do get to trust you, but it comes out of respect. Like when we went to Pinthurst and we were there, we would go into rooms and have a magic time. Others would come out. They're like, you know, we just didn't get anything. And I told them, come out if you're here, show yourself. You got it. And we didn't get anything. I'm like, I wonder why. So I think that's that. And that's interesting because I talked to Kelly. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Frank, but I had my near-death experience at 13. And a lady told me one time that she said, Keith, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you've ever been told this, but you do, in fact, when you walked in this room and all the other people, that I see you as white. You're just white. Just you. And I says, you know, that's interesting. I said, I have to ask, is that how the spirits see me? She says, yes. And she says, let me ask you a question. When you go to places you've never been and you have the little equipment, did they say your names? And I says, all the time. She said, that's why.
Yeah.
They see you and know you, and they know that you're kind of one of them, so they kind of connect with you. And that's what maybe it kind of was hard for me to embrace for years because I didn't know why I was getting all this. Hi, Keith. Hey, Keith. Keith. Talk to him. Hi, Keith. And now I know it. It made me feel like, okay, I'm okay. I felt better. So it is such a joyful thing when you get to have that experience and do that.
And what, Frank, like what has been for you? I mean, kind of tying into that evidence, what's been the most profound evidence that you've captured? Because, you know, you film with your show, you know, so what are some bits of evidence that you are just like, this has to be the only way. It has to be the only thing.
Physically being touched, pushed, scratched, you know, to me is one of the better evidences. Wow. And of course, there was a time, so I'm doing this house clearing with a friend in Bethlehem, this old farmhouse. We track everything down to this creepy ass painting, right? And it's like the dogs had to be drugged past that point. They'd stop and would not go past. Little kids are waking up in the middle of the night with this old hag beckoning them to come. So we go and my friend does her thing and she like binds everything into the painting. And I'm there, you know, basically as bait and prayer protection, and I'm getting knocked around. I'm a big dude. And I'm getting knocked around. Right? At the end, you know, I go in the little boy's room and I sit down. She looks at me. She says, "Are you okay?" I say, "Yeah, my arm burns for whatever reason." I pulled my sleeve up. I had 3 scratches coming down here and 1 coming straight across the wrist.
Ow.
Yeah. Ow. Like son of a bitch.
Oh.
So, of course, the homeowners want this painting removed. So, who's the knucklehead who takes this? Yeah, that's gonna end up with like haunted shit throughout the house. I don't want this stuff in my house. It just ends up here.
Is Johnny there? I'll have to say hello. Is Johnny there?
Yeah, there's been a few things I should have sent to Johnny. So this painting, I said, you know what? I'm going to burn this, right? So I put it in the little burn barrel, and I'm trying to. I can't light it. Now, I've lit thousands of fires in my life. I can't get we woods, wooded property, dude. You got to burn this shit or pile it up.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So, not that I'm a pyromaniac. I kind of like it, but I don't want to see the whole village burned. So, I can't get this light, and it's canvas. So I doused this thing with lighter fluid, and I got it lit, and it's burning slowly. Then all of a sudden, it starts to sizzle like bacon. And the smell was what I can only describe as old lady perfume.
Ugh.
Yeah. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get rid of it. So it's all good now.
Yeah. So physical touches from that painting.
The first time I ever got grabbed, right? I was at Iron Island in New York.
I wanted to go there. That's a bucket list.
I highly recommend. This is a place that never, ever, ever disappoints. And if you go, ask for Lorraine as your guide. Okay. So there's 4 of us in there. And we're kind of laying on our bellies in the chapel room doing EVPs. And all of a sudden, something grabs my ass. I jumped. I didn't realize I could jump this high. And I'm freaking out. Then all of a sudden, you start to get cold from the inside out. Right? And I'm like, I'm shivering. And this woman who I just met, right, Lorraine, instantly goes into mother mode and starts taking care of me. She and I have become very close over the years. She had 5 kids. I had 5 kids. And, this, that, and the other. And Linda, the owner, every time I go, they treat me like family. They're just so wonderful there. I highly, highly recommend Iron Island. But that was the very first time I got grabbed. And then, of course, after that, we decided to go up into the attic where, the angry guy is. That's the place where Grant stuck his head up in the hole and got charged. And Tango went up and got all Jersey. So, yeah, that was creepy. And I'm trying to keep my senses. But at that point, you're kind of semi out of it. I probably should have gone outside and grounded, which I know now, but this was like years ago, early on when I started investigating like scarier places. Yeah. So that place never disappoints. Other type of evidence, EVPs. I love EVPs. I very rarely get them. But others who do, there was, so I'm at Fort Mifflin, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I love Fort Mifflin. So
yes.
We were actually filming there. I was doing a pilot for Spike, and we're on break, and it was Tim Shaw and I. We behind the officers' quarters, and we got the recorder running because that's what you do, and we're just bullshitting. Da 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 da. All of a sudden, clear as day, Class A, the best EVP I've ever gotten. Get the fuck out. So we listen back to this and we're like, did you hear that? You hear that? Yeah. We go over to the director. He puts his headphones on, listens. He got wet as it goes, threw his headphones and walked away.
Wow.
He was freaked out.
That's interesting. They said they had some mafia stuff there. That was one of the places. Was that on the very far, maybe all the way to the back as you enter that place, to the back, and maybe the east, towards the airport side?
Towards the airport, yes, exactly.
Okay.
The officer's quarters.
Okay, so that's interesting because I have a picture and an EVP that we got where I was away from some people. I had went off, and I like to have some little time on my own, and I just take these 360 photos when I'm around. Meaningless, not trying to pose something, just get them and I'll look at them later. So as I'm doing that, with my ears, I hear a very loud, help us here. Like, help us here. Like, over here, like, help us. At the moment that I got that, I went back later and got to looking at pictures. I catch the most very cool, like, doorway, like a door, and it's open. And it's right there. And I showed some other people, but I didn't tell them I said, look at this photo. And they're like, oh, wow, it looks like it's a door open. And then I tell them about the EVP, and they're like, wow. And it was like a woman saying it, like, help us here. Like, help us here. Please help us. And maybe it was from way back in the day when they were there and being possibly mistreated. And then there you go. So that was a corresponding kind of very cool little time. That just, wow. Was it a portal? Was it that moment that door opened and they kind of slipped through and said it and then it closed? Because after that next photo, there wasn't anything there. There was no fog. There's no mist. There's no one smoking. So
you know what, Keith, with stuff like that, and I love this where you get overlapping information.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, I heard this, but I got this picture at the same time.
Right. I'll have to send that to you.
Millimeter was going off, or
I'll have to send you that photo because
cool.
it's like, God, what? Oh, geez, yeah. And you'll be like, I stood right there. I know where that's at.
Yeah.
So it just was like, it's like so. You get excited when you get evidence on something that's like really compelling, and you're like, you know what? Say what it is. I heard it. I have this, and then I have the picture. Maybe that moment in time. Wow.
I have a real good laser grid video from Fort Mifflin where it gets completely blocked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, that place is a gem. I mean, it really is. I mean, just being there during the day, even.
I love the place.
Feel the energy of the place. As long as you mark the planes on your EVP.
Exactly.
Recorder, as long as you mark the planes.
15 minutes.
Yeah,
but one of the things I love about paranormal is the history, right?
Right.
We go into places that typical tourists don't get to, right? And we learn, like Fort Mifflin. I'd never heard of Fort Mifflin before, right? It's the fort that saved frickin' America.
There you go.
They never taught us that in school.
So that's what was so interesting is just you're there and you get this sense of when you're there just around you. It's like you can almost hear people talking. You picture them walking as if they're there, and you just get caught up in that moment of that very rich history of all that. And then you kind of shut your eyes and you just take it all in. And once you open that up and those things happen, then you're able to have that respect of how, thank you for giving me this evidence, because you're coming out of respect and saying, will you just for a moment show me something that, and that's why I go off to myself and I have that little moment of prayer and thank you. And I do that. And I will tell you, after I've done some of that, away from the talking and the people and so many that show up at events, is when they're like, okay, you're over here. I'm going to show you something really quick, but not for 40 people. And it's like, because you come out of respect, then you just bow and you say thank you, and thank you for the land and the place and the space. And they give you that little smidgen of something, and you're like, thank you so much. So that was very special. One of my very special moments in the paranormal for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of little smidgens of things, I don't know if you can tell us, Frank, but are you guys filming anymore? Do you have any new articles coming out? Do you have any projects coming up that you can tell us about?
So I will be at Selma sometime in September. I was going to write all these dates down and whatnot. I will be next year at Salem Con. I will be next year at Sage Paracon in the UK. Oh. I just recently started writing a book. It's going to be a paranormal cookbook.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Woo-hoo. Yes. That's what I was saying. That's what he should do that. That's what I was saying, Kelly, because I love to, when he has a moment, I see him by a grill, I just stop and watch him like, Frank's moments, that little moment. He just says, okay, we start off, we're going to get our little, then they come in here. You don't want to cook it too long, just enough to get a little bit of crust. I'm like,
if I could edit, I would do like the whole process. I don't know how to edit. It's something that I haven't learned yet. I'm working on it. So when I do that, I'm going to start doing YouTubes.
You should, because the many talents of Frank Cinelli.
That's right.
Said when we started, so many things you do, so many people that know you for the different things, but collectively, you're this guy that people just want to come up and you just want to sit down and just listen as you just talk about some of the things you've done. That's what's really super cool.
Well, it's not even just talking about the stuff I've done. It's talking about us. Okay, us paranormal people as a collective.
Right.
It's okay. Yeah. All right. What's Keith up to? Man, I'm like, Kelly. What's Kelly doing now? Oh my God, Kelly's always doing something.
Yes, Kelly.
Yeah. So it's that anticipation, and it's we talk about intention and energy and so on and so forth. It's my energy is I am so excited to hear what you guys are doing, and hopefully it's reciprocal, and it seems to always be so. Yeah, I'm excited when we do events. I'm like excited to. Okay, yeah, hey, oh, dude, I remember you. What's up?
Right. And people can find you on Facebook if they have other questions that they think of afterward, because you have your Vitamin Pharmacy page, but then you have a Ghost Detectives page too, correct?
I have my page, Frank Cinelli.
Oh, and you're perfect.
That's the best way, because that's the one I check most often. I'm on Twitter at Dr. Spectre, Instagram at Dr. Spectre. So, yeah.
Can you teach me how to tweet, Frank?
Sure.
I don't know, like certain things I can do. Okay. I just don't get the point of Twitter because I already do Facebook and Instagram and what else do I need? Like websites, emails, like what's the point of that? Like well, is it just your thoughts? Cause I can put those out in a million different ways.
Yeah, exactly. So what you should do is create your Twitter different and do your energetic help of the day. Just do that. Hey,
so it could be a theme.
Hey friends, make sure you ground. Get outside. Put your feet in the grass.
Kelly, see there?
I may have to get on Twitter just to experiment with posts like this.
See? Yeah,
and then tag you and all that, or whatever you call.
Tag me.
Tag? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what we say. That's what we call it. I learned a lot of that stuff from my son. But it's text me, tweet me, call me bad names. I mean, you've got it all, right? All the forms of communication. They are fun indeed.
We're so thankful that you could spend the night with us, Frank.
Yes.
To have you on.
It's over.
I know. We'll have to do it again very soon. Maybe in person, though. You are a fan of lives. So
yes, I do like lives.
He does. Well, maybe, we'll do the cooking thing with him. That would be really fun. Yeah. Some recipes. Yeah, we could do Frank. Let's see what we get from Frank. Oh, man. What? Yeah, fun. I've laughed probably more tonight than I have in the recent. That's a fun thing about the show I tell with Kelly. We don't go within the confines of what a lot of other shows. We always say, come learn a little bit, but let's laugh a little bit. Let's just have a collective. If
you're not having fun, why do it?
Right. Agreed.
Right? Exactly.
My day job is serious.
Yes.
I need, and this was a blast. Oh my God, my heart is full right now. You guys are
Frank.
Well, we love you. You know that, though.
Oh man, you can't
go on.
No, like a lot. We love you a lot. I could learn how to tweet about how much I love you.
Oh, okay.
Life goal.
I will teach you just for that reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, can you hang on a minute or two backstage if I put you backstage till we wrap up?
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you again very much, Frank. And we'll see you soon. All right, buddy.
Wow, Frank Cinelli.
I get around him, both he and Bella, like I could just sit and I have just sat and, for hours just talked about anything and everything. And he's always so open-minded and friendly and just as personable in person as he was tonight online.
Well,
So
like
for those of you who have other questions, feel free to reach out to him because he's an amazing, amazing resource.
yes, Ted Hendricks joined us. Hey Ted, how you doing, my friend? Bob Burnell is we love you, Bob. If we haven't said, we're telling you again. Bob put, really enjoy the show. Thanks so much. Yeah, and it's fun. It's interesting. We got with some things. If you didn't know, we talked a little bit about the world of the paranormal, some cryptids, what Frank does, just a little bit about kind of in the universe, some ideas. But always remember, folks, that when we have a guest on the show, I think I could speak with this from Kelly, and we don't have someone on the show that you're not able to reach out to through Facebook and say, hey, I saw you on the show. Can you kind of teach me a little bit about that? That's why we have the fun show we do. We want for you, because you are Love and Light listeners who we love and respect, to get to be a part, to reach out. And if you have that takeaway from that, then we know we're doing something right. And that's what helps make the show what it is. It wouldn't be anything without that. So Frank's that guy that he'll, sure, man, no problem. And I'll tell you another thing. If he doesn't know the answer, like he says, he'll find somebody that does. He'll get back to you and say, this is what I found out. So that's Frank in the midst. What a great guy. And thanks
I
for being on the show.
I adore him. Yeah, I'm so glad he was on. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And we will have a couple surprise shows coming up, but we're not going to tell you too much about that right now.
We can't, because they are that fun, that cool.
And we can't tell them too much.
I mean, once you see the promo for it, you'll see it. You'll be, no, you're kidding. No, they're going to be here. Like, so yeah, for real.
Some extra bonus shows coming up in the next few weeks. So
we're doing them for you guys. Bonus shows, even outside the ones we do on the every other. So these are some people said, I really can't maybe make this time, but I can this. So we're like, you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to have that. We're going to do that show. Bring it to you guys because we love you guys, our Love and Light listeners. So get ready. It's going to be fun. that we tell you for sure. No doubt.
That's right. That's right. Well, we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching. And Keith, I'll be seeing you real soon.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye.